Hey guys, Amelia here. I'm going to be starting a series on helping people get into small gang PvP. We'll be going over a bunch of different archetypes, including things like small gang tackle, small gang DPS, E-war and support chips. We'll also be going over manual piloting, which is what this video is about, and also about when you should use different chips and tactics in what type of gang setting. So this video will be covering a different type of tactics, including corkscrewing in and out, drive-by scrams, feathering or spiraling, coning, as well as slingshotting. So let's jump on into it. Okay guys, the first thing I'm going to show you here is how to spiral into a target. So we have a zealot burning off in a straight line here who's going to be the projecting DPS, and our goal is to try and scram it while not dying. So obviously the thing you don't want to do is Q-click approach into him. What we want to do is keep as high as trans as possible while burning into him. So that means you need to have a very wide angle to start as you're far away, and then you're going to slowly reduce that angle and come in. So we're going to do little circles here. You see me turning my screen as I double click in, and we're going to slowly approach in here. The angle you're going to hit him with is going to slowly decrease, so that you're going to be more and more Q-clicky as you come in. So we're going in here. Once you get to a decent range, you can start heating and go really aggressive here at a certain point. So we'll say that's like 50 kilometers here. You see me heat in, I'm going in, and again, the closer I get, the more I can just straight up approach, because the distance is not going to matter the angle is not going to matter as much as the distance approaches. So once I'm in here, we land our scram, easy as pie. Okay, so now we got our scram on the target. Now let's say we need to bail out for whatever reason, right? I see this is where a lot of failures happen with tackle pilots when they actually die. A lot of people would just, hey, I want to warp out to this spot, I'll align, I'll burn out a point range, and I'll warp. But that's not what you want to do, because you can get 0 transversal and just get straight up one shot. So what we're going to do here is the same thing that we did before, except we're just going to spiral outwards. So it's going to be the opposite. We're going to start with a bigger angle and get smaller and smaller as we go out. So here we go. We're going to go big angle, and let's say he has a 40 km point range, so we're going to burn out to 40 km. You're going to keep turning, and the goal is here that you want to have you be parallel to the path you're warping out. So I'm not going to warp out if I'm going to warp out here yet. I'm not turned that way yet. Let's turn now. Now we're straight up aligned while having high transversal, and we can just warp out easy as pie. Okay guys, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is drive-by scrams. This is mainly used in interceptors, but also for a lot of other things. So we have our target here. It's a zealot. He's burning in a straight line towards sun. Common example. Our goal is to basically scram him without the threat of dying and being counter-scrammed. So what we're going to do here is we want to aim for the back side of him, just on the edge of our scram range. So we're going to burn in here. See the line that he's going in? We want to burn kind of parallel to him, so that we catch just the very edge of his scram. So we got the scram right at 13 kilometers. We're not going into that 10 kilometer scary range. And if he was to scram us at that point still, even if he had like a blingy scram, he would keep going straight towards sun, and we were going up. So we would have 2 different paths going, which means that we would be able to coast out of range there and still land our scram on the target. So that's like the ideal situation for drive-by scram. Alright guys, the next thing we're going to talk about is something called spiraling. It's really useful kind of all sizes of ships. But basically, if you're facing an enemy who's faster than you, so for example the stiletto, I'm in a retry here, you can, if they're Q-click approach on you, and again this only really works if they're actually approaching you and not manually piloting, you can spiral in and keep range and not get scrammed actually. So you can see this here. Basically we're going to have the stiletto just Q-click approach on me, and you're just going to turn in spirals here, and you can see how the stiletto is not going to be able to get into scram range here if I'm flying properly here. So he's coming in at 25, 20, and he should just hold around here. He's not going to get closer, and we're just going to be able to double click like this. Even though he's faster than me, he's not going to get closer. And this is kind of a very important skill to have, because if it was in a real fight, this entire time I'm sitting at just outside of his scram range, 15, 16 kilometers, we're applying damage, and we're applying damage with very low trans, which means that this guy's going to get shit on. So if it's like in a real situation here, right, I'm just pumping damage into this guy, he's just getting melted this entire time we're getting shots off. And it's really hard for anything to happen here. And this is with a almost a 1500 meters per second difference, guys. So it's significantly easier to do the more speed you have compared to your target. Okay guys, next thing I'm going to be showing you is what's called coning. So coning is when you are going to be orbiting a target, but only on a specific plane. So let's say, the gnomon is the target that we're shooting or holding, and our small gang wants to stay below their gang. So to stay below this part and still keep our transversal high, what we're going to do is do little circles underneath him, like this, while keeping range. So it's basically orbiting something like this cargo container just directly below him. And you can see how this goes here. So I'm orbiting at 20 kilometers here. And I'm just going to keep my point on. I'm keeping tackle. I'm keeping my transversal high. But I'm staying on the bottom side of the target. And this is really important for keeping your gang together while still keeping your transversal high and doing things like that. I can't stress enough how important this skill is. For when you're actually operating in a small gang. It's probably the most important manual piloting skill and something that you guys should definitely just practice doing. It gets a little bit harder when the target starts burning, which I can show here. So you need to kind of keep going with them. So we're going to be orbiting at 20 kilometers still, and he's getting a little bit more trans because he's picking up speed, so it's harder to pick up. So you can almost do back and forth swirlies, if you know what I mean. So you're going to do little zigzags. We're going to go left, and then we're going to go back to the right. And we're just going to keep doing that, back and forth, keeping our transversal high. When it's a solitary target, you can do kind of just the circles. When it's a moving target, especially if it's a fast moving target, you need to kind of just do straight zigzags. Okay guys, last thing I'm going to talk about here is it's called slingshotting. So it's very common in like low stack and frigate 1v1s and things like that. But basically if you have a target who's orbiting you, kiting you out, let me make myself a bit slower here to make this more realistic. So the Retry's a bit faster than me now. He's holding a, let's say, 20 km orbit, manual orbit. How do I want to be able to scram this guy and catch him? This horrible kiter, right? Death to the kiters. So we see him going down this line. It's all about your heat cycle. So it's 10 seconds of an MWD heat cycle. I can catch him before he turns on his heat. And I just catch him coming in straight down. He's still that orbit approach. Boom. Easy scram. So it's all about just turning in an instant, immediately double-clicking behind you in the direction, and timing that perfectly with your heat. That's it for this episode on manual piloting, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy this type of content, feel free to comment below. Let me know how you like it. I know it's a bit different than my normal stuff. And there will be some more episodes coming out here. I'm going to be doing some deep dives onto specific archetypes. And hopefully you guys enjoy that as well. Thanks so much. Have a good one.